I wanted to interview my mom, Paula. A lot of you, it's funny when she's not at the front desk as much anymore. So when people are, you were at the front desk today, and so many people are like, your mom's here, and I feel like you're more popular than me here in the office because there's so many people that get so excited when they see you, and when you're not here, everybody's always asking about you. So here you are. Here's an interview, and what I wanted to do today is I just want to take a little bit of time to interview you about one of the best legacies that you gave to me, Jordan and Darren. Jordan and Darren are my sisters. Is the legacy of health, and that kind of led to me being a chiropractor, and that kind of led to ADIO Chiropractic being a place that so many people benefit from their health and their families. And it really comes from a legacy that you and Dad gave us of health and how you guys did things. And the cornerstone of that was always chiropractic, and it was chiropractic because your dad's a chiropractor, your brother's a chiropractor, so it's always been kind of commonplace. But most people don't have a family where they grow up having chiropractic as the cornerstone of health. They look at it as, oh, why would you need a chiropractor if you're not in pain, if you don't have neck pain or back pain or headaches? And really, we grew up not even thinking of chiropractic in that way. And
that's right, yeah.
We still have so many patients that look at chiropractic that way, but most of our families that come in, we have so many, the thing that about ADIO, I'm so thankful for is we do have so many families that are kind of like our families. They look at health the same way our family looks at health, and the families that come in look at chiropractic as more of a staple of their health care. They're the ones that are more likely to come in and ask me about things that are not musculoskeletal related, and it shows in their family's health. It shows in their mindset. It shows in their actual vitality in life, rather than just the people that come in and they're trying to get their back better or they're trying to get their neck better. Those people don't necessarily have the vitality that the families have, that have the different mindset, and I believe that starts up here. So I guess how did that happen? How did that happen?
How did that happen? Right. So I was very young when I was introduced to chiropractic, and I never was given any sort of option when I didn't feel good. We didn't go get Advil, Benadryl, any of that stuff. None of that stuff was even in our house. When I didn't feel good, I would get an adjustment. Now, I don't ever remember having too many days where I didn't feel good, but there were those times where you would get sick, you'd have a cold. Sickness wasn't as prevalent as I feel like it is this day and age. But I do remember there was times I'd be sick and I'd get adjustment and just drink lots of liquids and sleep hang out on the couch.
The thing is, our families never put an emphasis on sickness either. Sickness is always one of those things. Like most people, when there's a sickness or there's something going around, it's like an emergency. And for us, it's like, go drink some water and get on the couch and rest.
Your body, I was always taught your body is meant to heal. It knows how to heal. So when we would get sick, we just knew it was a process the body had to go through to fight off whatever you were going through. And it does. It just does.
Yeah,
I mean, you're never sick forever. You just, and then we would always say, well, this is the time that God gave you to rest because you're always moving. You're always moving. So we're like, okay.
It drives me crazy because whenever I'm sick, whenever I'm under the weather, she's always like, well, it's just time you need to rest and you need to not think about work. And she's the first one now to try to throw Benadryl or Advil or something at me because she sees me pushing through things or trying to see all these patients when I'm just miserable a lot of times, and she's like, just take this so you feel better.
Well, the funny story about that, which I think is a really cool story, but I was 22, I think I was 22 years old. I used to have sinus infections, and I would just work through it. I would get adjusted, and same thing. I would they would pass. And I had never taken any Tylenol, Advil, I've never taken anything. It just wasn't even anything I thought about. Like, I know how common that is to people, but there are people like myself that grew up in a family where that was not common. And I remember we were living in an apartment. I just had him. I had this massive sinus infection. My dad was out of town, and we went to a friend chiropractor and started getting under care with him. But then I was like, you know what? I can't take it. I got to take something. And I was so scared. It was like I was taking like a serious drug. And I took something and I was like, oh man, I feel so much better. And then I made this little pact with myself that not to be afraid, but to know it's for emergencies. Because when you're raising kids, and that's why I tend to be a little bit more lax now, because I was so strict about not taking anything. But I know now, when you have kids and families and business where you're seeing so many people and all that, sometimes it's just more important to feel better.
There's a time.
The body knows how to heal, and the damage that's done, your body will heal.
I think that is something about us. I mean, when it comes to our health, even when it comes to like things like our faith, there's not really hills that we have. Me and you, out of our whole family, I've got two sisters, our dad. We are like we're the hard-headed ones that have really, really strong opinions, but we're not like, when it comes to, me and you have really strong opinions when it comes to health, when it comes to our relationship, when it comes to a lot of things, we have very strong
opinionated about most anything.
But we are, it's not the type of thing where we die on any hill. It's not the type of thing where I am solely convicted and sold out for the body heals itself. The body's a self-healing, self-regulating organism, but we're not going to judge somebody for doing Tylenol. I understand life, and one thing that I always say when it comes to health, and you get all these people where if you have a Tylenol, you're going to die, or if you have a trans fat, you're going to, or sugar, or whatever. I'm like, nobody, like, we're all going to die. I always look at my family. I'm like, are they trying to live forever? We're all going to end up. So I'm like, there's a little bit of, hey, let's. It may not be the best thing for you right now, but let's get through the day. One thing that I believe, I want to move on to this. I believe that a lot of the reason that we did health a certain way, the reason we did a lot of things in our life, the way you raised us is. And this is another thing, and it bleeds over into health, but it has to do with a whole lot of things, is you and Dad think for yourselves. Where so many people, I read a book, Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill, and one of the biggest points in the whole book that he repeated over and over and over again, that if I were the devil, I would get people to not trust themselves, not think for themselves. They lean on institutions, they lean on things like schools and churches and media, and they let those sources tell them, and they would no longer take the opportunity to think for themselves. And that is in my opinion, that's one of the biggest epidemics that I see in culture, is especially in healthcare. People don't think for themselves. It's one of those things, they are being told what to think, and they're not even thinking whether or not something makes sense. And that's impacting the direction. There's no secret we live in a country that's not doing well when it comes to health. The third leading cause of death in our country is our medical system. The top two are cancer and heart disease. Those are two things that are caused by our food and our lifestyle, and we're not doing health well. Me and my wife, Ashton, we went to a water park a couple of weeks ago, and I was baffled. We're not in we work out, but we look like fitness models at this place. There was 90% of the people there were extremely obese or just unhealthy, and that's not to say, not to point fingers at anybody who's overweight or obese, but it was just a sign of a lack of health. Health was missing. So where did this conviction of being able to think for yourself, not only when it comes to health, but also everything else?
I've just always been like that, always. And it tends to alienate you from people, because most people think I'm weird. They just want to peg me as I'm the weird one. I have my babies at home. I homeschool. I don't take medications. I don't do vaccinations. I mean, it's just, I am definitely pegged with that. And everyone knows it. You don't have to be around me or see any of my posts and not figure that out pretty quick. I'm also super family oriented. Our family is extremely close. I do life with my kids on a daily basis, with my grandkids and my mom and my mother-in-law. So I'm just super all about family, and there's a huge breakdown in families these days, and that makes me feel like I'm special as well. But literally, I have to educate myself because I am going against the flow. I remember going into school with you kids, and we homeschooled, and then you guys went into high school, and then everybody, even they're like, oh, well, you have to have your vaccinations. I'm like, well, no, you actually don't.
Yeah.
And at the time, I had a Zaire because we didn't have iPhones, and I had the state.
A Zaire is a Palm Pilot.
A Palm Pilot, and I was prepared with the state statutes and everything that it says that it is not. You cannot make someone get vaccinated, and people think you have to.
Yeah.
Even with the recent outbreak with COVID and people feeling like that's a whole nother story. But I one time was told I needed a flu shot, otherwise they were going to have to let me go. I had worked for this company for 5 years, and all of a sudden they want me to have a flu shot, and I'm like, I was good for you for 5 years. I'm not doing it. People started coming to me out of the woodwork. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And I said, I'm packing up my boxes. I mean, this company's not going to know me in 20 days from now. I'm not going to vaccinate myself, because someone's pushing an agenda on me. I will not do it. I will not be forced to do anything.
And the blessing and the curse of that, I think, is when you take hard stances and you have convictions in a certain way, you can't just passively, and I see a lot of this when people are acting like they want to go against the flow. You actually have to truly have conviction and believe what you're saying based off of information. You had to not only understand the laws of where you're at, but you also have to understand a little bit of the science of why you believe this, because you're going to have questions. So with anything, when you take hard stances, people are going, and I think they should. I think when we talk about health, when we talk about parenting, when we talk about finances, when we talk about science in general, that's one thing that all those deserve to have good questions asked and have good questions answered, rather than just telling somebody. I think the science, talking about science, everybody wants to have science just dictated, and that science is meant to be questioned. That's what the whole scientific theory is. You want to question things, and then you want to be able to prove it to yourself and prove it to others repeatedly. And that's part of when you guys took hard stances. You guys could explain a lot of these concepts more. Now that I'm an adult and I've studied all this stuff, I know that you know more about what you were talking about than a lot of doctors were, and we saw that over and over again growing up. How there were things that you would predict and that you would say that doctors were behind on. And I mean, let's not get into the last 3 years, but I think that's been vindicated by a lot of people. That I mean, I always. Being a doctor, I know that mom knows best. Mom knows best. And having a lot of kids under care, moms know their kids. Moms have an intuition, and they don't, a lot of times they don't listen to it. They let a doctor's voice overshadow what their own intuition is.
There was no internet. It was not the way it is now. When I was raising my kids, I didn't Google stuff. I wasn't able to do all that, which I thank God for that. But I had a book that was called How to Raise a Healthy Child in Spite of Your Doctor.
It's sitting out on our books,
Yeah, by Dr. Mendelsohn. That was my computer. Whenever the kids had a fever, I would turn to Fever, and it would tell me what to expect. Now, he was a medical doctor, and there's a lot of background on him, but I will just leave that to you. If you want to go get that book, you can check it out. But ear infections, everything was done alphabetically, so if they had any sort of ailment, I could just look it up alphabetically, and I would get the advice from this medical doctor who was very conservative, and I really felt, along with my chiropractic care that I had the kids under, that everything was just going to work out, and it does, because the body's amazing. And when I raise my kids, it is scary, because you all that have kids, you know what it's like the first time they get that really high fever and they get that glossy look, and you're scared and you don't know what to do. But have faith and surround yourself with others that believe like you do, or how you want to believe, and they will encourage you, and you learn so much. And that's something that we don't have anymore either. We don't have a lot of older women with the younger women, and because the younger women are going to YouTube, and they're going to Instagram, and they're going
Dr.
to
Google.
They're going and
Dr. Google,
WebMD,
Dr. YouTube,
and instead of conversing with people that have already been through it, who are also in the same mindset, so you're really missing out on a lot. And I got a lot of my encouragement from older women, and also being raised the way I was, I got to see, and working in a chiropractor's office, I got to see the benefits of chiropractic on a daily basis, over and over and over again. So when you are infiltrated with seeing the kind of results that you get to see under chiropractic care, then it's a no-brainer. It becomes a no-brainer. The people that are very skeptical are the ones that aren't in the office. They aren't getting adjusted. They don't understand what chiropractic is. So that's another thing that's just a very easy it just made it very easy for me.
And I think part of it, chiropractic is a philosophy, and for one, like even if you take away the chiropractic adjustment, which is the meat and potatoes of chiropractic, chiropractic is a philosophy about health and a philosophy about your body and how your body works, and that philosophy is truth. Like that philosophy is founded on truth and a paradigm that is proved by science, it's proved by life, it's proved by just the people who live it, and then you throw the adjustment in and it's just sorry. I'm not getting choked up. I got something in my throat.
He's all choked up having to interview his mom.
So another thing, I want to close up here, but I do right now as it stands. I'm not going to say your age, but you, your mom, your dad, they were just here. My dad, your husband, we all do CrossFit 4 or 5 days a week. Most families aren't doing that with their moms, with their grandmas. My grandma has great grandkids who are now doing CrossFit in the garage as they watch their parents. So I'm like, that's like 4 generations of people all doing CrossFit. It's just a testament to what this lifestyle, and it's one thing I talk about with Ashton all the time. I'm just incredibly grateful for chiropractic, not only for what it's given me with being able to give to people. Like that's something that I'm internally, like, I feel like indebted to chiropractic for, is just being able to have more energy at the end of the day because you're serving people and you're watching people get better. But what it's giving me as far as my health and my family's health and my kids, just the way they live compared to all the other kids out there. So closing statements about that, and then we'll finish up here.
Just about working out, it was funny. This guy right here is he's pretty intense, and when he believes something, he really pushes it. And I remember having a hard time it was probably about 10 years ago, just really feeling a little bit lethargic, weak. I was working in a senior center, and I just kind of, when they say when you hang around a bunch of people, you're going to be like those people. So I was pretty much trying to figure out how I was going to bling out my walker, within the next 5 years. But the funny part was everyone got tired of me making jokes about it, and he goes, "Mom, I need you at CrossFit. I need you to go." And he pushed me and pushed me and pushed me, and finally one day I went, and it's just amazing to think where I am today, because he made me do something. And not only that, but I work in the office, so I get adjusted regularly. So just putting my body through what I do, I'm 57 years old, and I absolutely I can keep up with anybody. I mean, it's amazing. I got 6 grandbabies, and I keep up with them. And if I can tell you, I lead a pretty solid, busy life, and free from aches and pains and dysfunction. Only ones that I self-impose by going to the gym, but
or being rear-ended, but that's another story. Well, if you guys made it this far, I appreciate you watching. Like, comment, and subscribe on here. That really helps other people see these videos, see these podcasts. If you have any questions for myself, for my mom, Paula, please put them in the comments. If there's anything that you want us to talk about, you listen to this and you say, I want them to talk more about this, let us know. Put it in the comments. Shoot me a message. I think we had fun doing this, so I'd love to do more. Just you let us know specifically what do you want us to talk about, and we'd love to get you more content like this. So hope you guys have a beautiful day, and we look forward to talking to you soon.
Thanks.
You want us to